Welcome back to Porch Scurvy Presents Clef Notes. Ooh-wee. Do we have an episode for you guys today?
We got a little bit of a curveball.
Oh yeah, we got a request from a fan, Mr. Raw Dog here.
Is that his username on SoundCloud?
That's his username.
Alrighty.
Mr. Raw Dog.
We received a very comical comment on one of our episodes a little while back, suggesting that we review Dragonland's album Under the Gray Banner.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something we looked into. We actually just got out of listening to it, so I think we're going to open with that.
Yep, we just stepped out of Dragonland.
We just got back from our flight. It just got dropped off. Thank you very much for the flight there and back, Mr. Raw Dog.
It was a solid request.
We've got two other things on deck for today. We're going to be talking Quality Control, the 30-track mixtape from it's Quality Control, Control the Streets, Volume 1?
Volume 1.
Oh my god, there's going to be more.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and that's going to be what we follow this guy up with, and then after that we're going to be talking a little bit about the sort of surprise drop. I guess like
it was given
near
like
without warning drop. Like there was little more warning than without warning, little less warning than a normal drop. Big Sean and Metro Boomin's Double or Nothing. So a lot of cool stuff on deck this week, but we will be starting with I think more of a traditional review, I would say, than we're normally going to do, because we don't usually listen to this stuff together. We listened to this just front to back just a couple of minutes ago, and I pulled up the story, actually, because it is a concept album, and we were following along track by track just because we were trying to listen to what was going on sonically along with kind of the narrative. But yeah, alrighty. So, Mr. Briggs, are you ready to dive in on this?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Alrighty. So, do you want to do it track by track, or do you just kind of want to give your thoughts?
I think it'd be better to just give my thoughts, because I can't really. The thing about this album is it's kind of hard to discern between tracks at times. If you were following the story, it has the album has a little bit more meaning if you follow the story and you understand what's going on, and it's kind of it's a little bit more it's a little easier to follow. I definitely it's probably an easier listen with the story as well, because I don't really listen to this type of music like 12 tracks in a row, like
well, and I almost never listen to this kind of music, period.
Yeah.
I mean, some metal, but not fantasy power metal. It's very specific, I think, niche within that genre, but I can see why there's a dedicated fan base. I think it was a nice, like it was a breath of fresh air, I think.
It was as if Skyrim was put into musical form.
Yeah, we've got our buddy Deanie down here, and really, and also just that the character's a Dragonborn, and not to rob Bethesda of credit, they did think of it first, from what I read. But yeah, just it made me want to dive right back into Skyrim and start sneak arching again.
When did Skyrim come out? Because this came out in 2011.
It was also 2011, but you got to think this is based off the novels, and the story had to have been written before.
Yeah.
So I think these guys thought of it first, but I think it's also just kind of a common fantasy trope.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I'm not knocking anyone that listens to this music. I think this is definitely something that people out there are listening to. It's just not really for me. Not really my thing to sit down and listen to a full project of this and kind of follow along with the story. But it's definitely something. I mean, looking into Dragonland's discography, it seems like they put out a lot of this stuff, and I mean, it does sound like they put a lot of work into it, and it's not just thrown together. So definitely like it.
Just kind of knowing how ambitious you have to be to make just well-produced music, adding just the narrative on top of it, and taking the concept album theme very literally and telling a story on every track that ebbs and flows one into the other is just kind of like a very like high accomplishment in itself, you know. So regardless of how I feel about it, I got a lot of respect for these guys. But
For sure.
yeah, I mean, well, I don't want to do track by track, but I do kind of want to like pace this out a little bit.
Okay.
So, like that first track, I hope I'm saying it right, Omarion. We put it on, and Andy just like looks at me like, "This is what Raw Dog wanted us to play." And
I
I'm
thought
like,
it was
"Yeah."
a joke. I was
my guys back home were talking about it. I'm like, "Yeah, I guess this is it," and
Yeah.
it's a bit of a like it's a bit more of one of the orchestry tracks, right?
Yeah,
like
it does. It like this album kind of switches between like a more orchestral sound and just heavy death metal, like go in Avenged Sevenfold style stuff. And
We were saying Dragon Force is probably a better
yeah,
comparison, but yeah. So we heard that first track and we're like, oh boy, is this gonna be an hour? Like, I don't know if we're gonna be able to do this for an hour. But track 2, you got a little bit of a vocal introduction, and then just pounding
yeah,
into
just
it.
all of a
And,
sudden,
it
all of a sudden,
woke
oh,
us,
it's metal.
it woke us right up, and we
Yeah.
were very happy to be a part of that. I would say those first couple of tracks I probably vibed with more than most of this project. I really like the Black Mare. I feel like that was a standout from the first half. And following along with the story, I was like, kind of digging it there, and just good stuff
Yeah.
up to that point. Now, I think we can both say things kind of started to drag for us by the time we got to Throne of Bones, Trials of Mount Farnor, just kind of
Yeah,
that
right
area.
after Black Mirror, I started.
Which, to be fair, is very close to the end of the project, and it probably didn't hold our attention just because this isn't a genre that we're really all that into. But I like in that we don't want to listen to long bursts of it. Like you were kind of saying that, like when you want to listen to something from like I guess more of like a heavy power metal, like big boom and stuff. It's kind of it's almost like you're like exerting yourself for an hour. Like this is why this music is so great to see live, because it really gets people going. Like I'd say the best kind of live shows you can go see are these more high energy ones. I haven't really been to many, if any, like full on metal shows, but I know that they're quite the spectacle because
Definitely.
people really get going. And when you're at home and you're just kind of listening to this, it can kind of feel like a lot if you're not doing a ton. Like I was sitting over here just kind of doing some homework, and he's sitting over there trying to get some business done. I guess that's what I would call that. And just it doesn't totally mesh in that situation, and it was almost like giving me a headache by the end of it, I think, just because I was like, all right, I think I need something a little quieter just so I can think. Which, to be fair, I probably shouldn't have been listening to that while doing that activity, but it was good up to a point, but then I think it was starting to lose me at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's not for everyone. It's not something that you're going to hear on the radio anytime soon. But it's definitely something that is worth a listen if you're a metal fan, and if you want to try something a little bit new with this whole storyline thing they got going on. So yeah, I mean, that's all I really have to say about this.
Do you have a standout track?
What was that one that like had
We
that?
we really liked the drums on one of the songs.
There was one that had like a halftime feel. It switched from like just a full on like metal just grind.
And, I know I was
just
just complaining about this, but I gotta say, I think it is paced pretty well for what it is. Like I feel like they balanced out the slower stuff pretty well with the more high energy stuff. I think it was just kind of a little too much at parts.
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it is something totally new for me. I really enjoyed it. I don't like slapping like numbers or like letter reviews on most of this stuff, but I think just because this is so far out of my wheelhouse, I'd feel comfortable doing that. Mainly because I don't know if I'll be back to revisit this specific project anytime soon. I'd probably be more inclined to branch out and try some other stuff in the genre. But right now, probably like 6.5 or a 7 out of 10 for me. Just like it grabbed me a little bit more than I thought it was going to. I kind of thought this was going to be in one ear out the other, but I'd be interested in checking out some different stuff. I think this could be fun music to run to, actually, depending on what you're doing.
Yeah. I don't really know if I can put a number on this.
I'm just saying, like, I mean, that's not like a be all end all. Just like right now, I'm like, yeah, bit above a 5 because that's middle of the road, you know. And I could see myself trying other stuff in this.
Yeah, the thing I like about other music is it kind of has a little bit more variety than this music does.
But I think that's just because you don't really have a palette for it yet. Like, I know, like, you said the same thing about it, and I know you're more versed in music now than you were probably when you made this comment, but, like, a long time ago, you were like, yeah, I don't think hip-hop's really doing anything that interesting. And this was, like, 2013. And I kind of think they were making some moves. Whereas, like, now, this album's from 2011. I don't know what the climate was in the power metal scene, but, like, it sounds a little samey, but I think it's because I have nothing really to compare it to. Like, I don't know if I know the nuances between different bands and even this own band's development. Like, I feel like there might be something there, and this could be a better project if I were to revisit it after seeing and listening to a lot of different stuff.
Well, I mean, in the process I've taken of like making music,
right? Yeah,
I've gotten to know like what, you know, how different things could how different elements can make the music sound different from one another, and just kind of but still have some sort of continuity to it. But I feel like with metal, like a lot of the times there's just so much going on at once. Like,
it's overwhelming.
It gets overwhelming, and sometimes I just wish that they would incorporate some different sounds, some different some different ideas in there that aren't necessarily like something you call metal.
That's probably my biggest issue with that kind of music too. Just how it almost always toes the line of being overproduced when it gets louder.
Yeah, right.
But I mean, I didn't have a ton of issues with that with this project, and maybe that's just because I haven't really given metal a go in a while. But I don't know. I can see why it works for some people, like really, really well.
For sure.
Okay, well, that's our brief thoughts on Under the Grey Banner by Dragonland. So, super. Yeah. Thank you very much, Raw Dog. We'd be very open to reviewing something else in the future, or other people music. If you want to just drop a really funny long paragraph comment, do it.
For sure. Okay, so what do you want to move on to next?
Quality control.
Quality control.
Quality control. Control the Streets, Volume 1. Mm-hmm. I don't like this. I'm going to be real. Like this, I think this is a garbage project, and I think it's really stupid it was put out, especially because like we're in a time where like the Migos are already saturated. Well, first of all, this is what it is. It's basically the Migos and Lil Yachty's label throw together a 30-track compilation project that only needed to be 12 tracks long. That's like what all the good features can be reduced to. You know, the Travis Scotts, the Cardi B's, the Young Thugs, and then get some good solo stuff. But instead they ballooned it to 30 tracks, and they put on a lot of their lesser-known artists, which I get as a compilation you need to do, but maybe kind of keep it in-house and then don't do those features. Like, try to rely on the strengths of your own artists. So what they essentially did was release a 30-track project of mainly Migos and Lil Yachty over Southside Beats, which we've already gotten a lot of this year. The same night as a ton of other features featuring the same artists came out, which just gets lost in the mix, and almost none of this music ends up being memorable for that reason. The only real PR push I saw for this project was the 2 singles put out, Too Hottie and Too Thotty, however you say it, and that Young Thug song with Lil Yachty, which is one of the better ones on here. And then other than that, there was that Joe Budden bullshit, where like last minute, like, oh my god, they dissed him in the hook of the song, and like it's so dumb. I bet Budden's in on it. It seems so manufactured, and nobody be listening to this unless they're like a diehard Migos fan. But even then, just wait for Culture 2. It's gonna be coming out in 2 months, and you already got like 1 million Migos features this year, along with just the already phenomenal Culture. So why do you need this project? It's just the label milking them for unused verses. I think it's a piece of shit.
Yeah, I think here's what I have to say about it.
Yeah.
I haven't been through the entire project yet, but to me, what it is as is with all of the projects that like labels put out or that like producers put out, with, you know, random features on it. I I don't think that it's something that I would sit down and listen to front to back, expecting it to be something more than it is. I feel like it's more of a way to get everyone together. I mean, good music is a little bit different. Good music does it a little bit differently. I feel like they bring in the artists, they have everyone sit down at the same table and work on this. Whereas with these other labels, they're just more like, oh, here's a whole set of beats. Let's get people to rap on it, and then everyone just jumps on.
I'm so happy that you used them as the example, because Cruel Summer, I still think, is not a great album. And I think it's the shining example in the last 15 years of how to do this right.
Mm-hmm.
Which begs the question, why do this? Why put your effort into this? Why oversaturate? Because I think they'll lose money in the long run. Like, I know they say, like, no...
Camaraderie?
I guess. Are any of those artists going to blow up, though? Like, the Lil Mario? Like, that...
you never really know with some of these people.
I don't think
but
that...
it's not... I don't think it's...
I don't think that's how you get exposure. I think you put that one track with that artist with the Migos out there as a single and you roll with that. I don't think you do this. And the thing is, the reason other compilation albums work, like the Odd Future Tape Volume 2, the what was it? Well, I mean, Good Music, but also like that Young Money one that came out like 2 years ago. You have to ride off of like one hot single. And Good Music one that had a couple, but Mercy above all else, just that song was everywhere. And then Trophies by Drake kind of carried the Young Money one.
Yeah.
Like, they don't really have that for this.
Yeah.
Is Motorsport on this project?
No.
Okay, like, stupid. Put Motorsport on this project and then start from scratch for Culture 2. I heard it was going to be executive produced by Kanye or somebody of that caliber, you know? Do that. I don't know what this is. It doesn't even really fill a void because it's not like people were dying for more Migos.
Yeah, I don't think... I like, with these projects, like I said, I usually just take them out of context of, like, what each of individual artist is doing.
I get that.
And really, like, what I'm listening for are just a few, like, little singles that I might like to listen to
it's very
in the
much,
future.
It's very much a la carte. I get that.
Yeah.
But, like... It just didn't from a business standpoint, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Okay. And then if I had to say one positive about this, I think that Lil Yachty's sounded better since his total flop earlier this year.
Definitely. Like the one track I find myself going back to a lot is Menace. That's Lil Yachty, Offset, and Quavo. And it's like a little bit more of a toned down track, but Lil Yachty lays down a pretty awesome little verse in the beginning, and then Quavo's got a nice little chorus that he does that I like. So I'm not I definitely would put that on one of my many playlists that I load up from time to time.
And then to clarify, like, I think everyone's kind of functioning like you are with the a la carte thing. Like, I don't think many people are going to listen to this thing front to back. But I don't think a lot of people are going to look at this... Like, I don't think people realize that this isn't a Migos project, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think the people who are, like, turned on to this, who aren't necessarily, like, checking the forums every day, they might be a little confused as to what this is. Like, that this is the follow-up effort to Culture. And I don't think that you need that kind of confusion when you're trying to build a brand like they are right now.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely, like, few of my friends have been are pretty excited about this. Like, they want to feed. They're looking for feeding. So, I feel like QC might have just wanted to feed the fans.
Maybe the demand's there, but I don't know. Just kind of from my point, it just doesn't seem like it.
Yeah.
I want to say one more thing about this. Yeah, just... oversaturated. I'm wondering if they're even recording verses that don't get put on something at this point.
Yeah.
Like, they can't... I mean, do they even write anymore? Is it just like they just go in the booth and just try to rhyme words at this point? Like, it's the work... I mean, you got to commend the work ethic. It's incredible. But, wow.
I mean, yeah, Migos is just kind of like one of those groups that's kind of thrives on their ability to just kind of like have some pretty basic bars with the catchy ad libs in the background, and it just kind of works
Okay.
at some point.
Just I can't believe that this is a thing, and I can't
Yeah.
believe I can't believe that they've been able to put out as many features as they have this year. But hey, good on them.
For sure.
Let's see how Culture 2 goes.
For sure.
Alrighty, and then in a similar vein this week, an artist who dropped a project earlier this year, and then an artist who's really just been pouring his heart out this year,
Seriously.
dropped Double or Nothing. That's Big Sean and Metro Boomin on production.
Mm-hmm.
And
Hell yeah.
what's your general take on this?
I like it. I think I like it better than Big Sean's normal projects, because like I don't know. It's probably just Metro Boomin for me, because like he's just his production style is just something that I really like, just vibe with.
Okay.
In a way. So it might be, but it's definitely weird having an artist that doesn't really follow the triplet flow as much as other such new artists coming out these days are. So like the last one with Offset and 21 Savage, those are two artists that are kind of like, praying to the triplet flow, and whereas Big Sean kind of more uses a couplet sort of deal, like a da 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 da.
Also, he's the most unorthodox couplet rapper I know, like that got that popular, because it almost always sounds like he's trying to freestyle.
Yeah.
Even when he isn't, like he doesn't know what he's gonna say next.
Yeah, right. But in a way, like there were a couple standout tracks on this project that I really liked. I don't know if I don't know if I could say with confidence that I like these singles better than some of the singles that were on his past projects, but I feel like as an album, it's just something I vibe with a lot more than his previous shit. So.
I gotta say, the things I like about it, it's not bloated. Mm-hmm. That's Big Sean's biggest problem.
Yeah.
With his full album projects, they're always just super. They could always use a trimming of about 2 or 3 songs, and most of them have a deluxe version that makes it even longer. And there's usually too many like poppy features, which like works for a guy like him because he's essentially pop rap. But I feel like that's kind of his lane, and that's why parts of this project don't work super well for me. Like, if I could get, my favorite Big Sean is the bounce back, I Don't Fuck With You, like All My Fault kind of Big Sean. The one who's just like pop rapping the whole time. He's got punchlines. He's got like a really, like, he's got a beat that carries the thing. Okay, he's got like a really melodic kind of beat. He's got a pretty powerful hook. I like the production hooks more often than not, more than his actual hooks. But he can do a hook. And I don't understand how he hasn't become a little bit more present as a feature in pop music, that like on songs that blow up, like kind of like how Drake was doing between 2011 2014 on a lot of Rihanna songs and the like.
Yeah.
Because on here, like, yeah, it's kind of cool to hear him over like a little bit more dark production for most of the project, but it just kind of sounds out of place for me. And the parts of this project I really like come from the features for the most part, I think. Which, I think you'd probably agree with me on that point, just because some of these guys are just better suited for that kind of production. Every time Travis Scott pops up on here, especially the time when he's uncredited in the middle of the project, those are some standout moments. When you have 21 Savage come through for a little bit, you're just like, oh, I wonder if this was left off of like some of the stuff that he was doing earlier this year. I just wonder how much involvement Big Sean really had with this project, or if Big Sean was just like, hey, I want to keep this 2-project-a-year thing going. What can I do about this? Just because everybody seems to be thinking that one album or one project's not enough anymore. Like, that you can't have an off year. Like, I feel like Drake didn't want to put out music this year, but he put out more life just because he had a lot of stuff and it wouldn't take that much touching up. I'm wondering if a lot of these verses are just kind of verses he's had vaulted, and he just put it out just to have something out, just get Big Sean in people's mouths before the year's over, and to be impressed that he was able to put out what is arguably one of his best albums in addition to this extra tape.
Yeah.
And Metro Boomin's just nuts at this point. Like, there's no way he doesn't have. There's
he's
no way
insane.
it's not mostly Ghost producers at this point. And if it's not, like, he's just incredible.
He's absolutely incredible.
Because
I mean, his production style is pretty simple.
I get it, but still, just to make that many.
Yeah.
And from what I've heard, it sounds like the melodies are being fed to him from a couple of people, like Jake One being one of them, and then he just kind of does drums.
Yeah.
But since, like, they're getting paid, like, they're kind of like underlings,
Yeah.
then, they get their cut and they're happy.
Yeah.
And they have enough of a production discography on their own that they don't really care.
Yeah.
But it's just, like, it's incredible. There's no way, to me, that Metro Boomin isn't just a production house at this point.
It's pretty crazy. He's rocketed to one of, like, the most recognizable, like, he's like a household name to anyone that loves hip hop nowadays.
I think
Like,
even beyond that, I think the tag has kind of made it, like, just recognizable to, like, the entire college crowd. It's nuts.
with the release of Pablo.
Stretch my hands, yeah.
Pablo,
Which
yeah, everyone
he didn't even really produce on that song. Ye just bought that for the tag.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when you're at the point where you just want to slap your name on things, like, know how people always have executive produced by Kanye and stuff, I think that's how you know that you're just kind of cemented as a legend.
Yeah,
and people throw that term around a lot, but
yeah,
I think
this
run right now is near unprecedented. It's pretty cool.
Right, it is pretty cool. I mean, he's joining the ranks of some of, like, the best producers that have come out in this genre. Like,
at least based on,
I don't know if I could use him in the same sense as Jay Dilla.
I was going to say, don't put him up there with Dilla, don't put him up there with Premier, don't put him up there with Dre. But, like,
yeah, but
it's pretty cool how many hits he's kind of landed on
yeah.
throughout this run, and it'll be nice to look back on that sort of thing.
He's
and
definitely the most recognized producer in the industry right now, so kudos to him for really striving to put his name on something.
And I think the reason that we're seeing so many of these projects is because he knows that the sound will probably get old, and if he can't pivot correctly, then he will lose a bit of relevancy. But it's kind of cool to see him making the most of his time on top, even if these projects aren't necessarily my favorites. Like, I know a lot of people really liked Without Warning. I was among the ranks, but I can't see myself going back to it a ton next year. Like, maybe there'll be a couple of things, but as a full project, I see it going the way of something like Run the Jewels 3, where, like, I was very much looking forward to it. I had a lot of fun of it at first. It'll be a fun thing to revisit, but I don't think I'm going to be seeing a ton of it make it into my rotation over the next couple of years. Very, I don't know. I don't even know what to call it. Just, like, very pop, not in, like, the pop, like, music sense, but just very pop up and go kind of a style.
Yeah, sure.
So, and that's kind of my takeaway on this album. It's a very here and now sort of a project. I don't think it's going to have a ton of staying power. I don't think we're going to see any real singles out of it that hit the charts, even in this hip-hop renaissance in the charts. But I think it's a neat thing. I think it can only do good things for both of their brands, and let's see if we can get one more Metro Ruin project before the end of the year.
Before we finish the conversation on this project, I really want to shout out the one track that I really thought stood out on this project, and that's Who's Stopping Me. I absolutely loved the, like, Latin bolero sample in the background.
That's pretty cool.
Throughout most of the track, like, or throughout their whole track, it just fits so well, and just whatever, like, he put on top of this thing, like, was just crazy. So and Big Sean, I thought killed his verse.
That was one of the better ones for him.
So
well, and I gotta say, like, I think that just kind of further proves the point that, like, Metro can break out of his sound, but it just doesn't happen that often. Like,
yeah, right.
Whenever he does something like that, like the same thing with the sample on I Don't Fuck With You, I'm pretty sure that was him who did that. It's incredible. Like, I like when he does that kind of sort of stuff. I'd love to see him sampling more often.
Yeah, right.
Than just rely on technical drum sounds and 808s.
For sure. It's definitely something to look for in the future, I guess. But yeah, I mean,
another standout I would say is probably Savage Time. That was my favorite.
Did that one have a feature on it, or
nope? That was just him.
That was just
well,
him?
Actually,
okay.
Hold on. I believe that was the one that Travis Scott's on at the end.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
That's the one he wasn't credited. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
No,
right.
dude, that was That was hot. I like surprise features too.
Yeah.
And I like when Travis Scott brings it and doesn't just phone it in. And I feel like he brought it there.
He's been bringing it quite a bit lately, I think.
I'm very middle of the roadie because I don't get everything. Like, the reason I like Travis Scott to begin with is because he made different kind of trap music, and lately he's kind of been falling into just the same old kind of grooves. And every now and again I see a little glimmer, but I don't know what these next couple of projects are going to sound like, especially knowing that Jack Huncho is going to be coming out pretty soon. That Quavo collab album.
Pretty soon, or 4 months.
Dude, no, I bet we get it at Christmas.
I mean, Quavo did come out and say that it was going off to mixing, and I kind of trust Quavo more than I trust Travis Scott at this point. So,
well, here's the thing: you shouldn't believe it when he just says it in concert. But now there's evidence. All right, there's evidence that I never bought that this was coming out soon until I saw the Snapchat of them listening to the full thing in the studio with a Christmas tree in the background saying, "Hey, December 25th." That's pretty clear confirmation that it's coming pretty dang soon, you know?
So it's going to be a Christmas album?
There needs to be more Christmas music and hip-hop. Shouts out to Christmas in Harlem. Check out the 9-minute version.
There's going to be some Santa ad-libs.
Put a Kanye feature on that. I want to see more of Trav and Kanye. Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess, are we done talking about... Metro Boomin?
I think that's a wrap. Do you have something else you want to talk about?
I want to do some shout outs really quick before we end this boy.
Go ahead.
Definitely want to shout out as we were just talking about Travis Scott. I want to shout out the new Trippie Redd single that just came out, the Dark Knight Demo, featuring Travis Scott. If you haven't given this a listen already, I would highly suggest it. I've been on the Trippie Redd train for a while now. I think he's kind of he's definitely holding his own in the business, and he's one of those artists that I feel like could have some staying potential.
I just don't want him to fuck it up like his friends. I know he's kind of tight with X, and I know he's got what's his name?
Tekashi.
Who's the guy who does Gummo?
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know what Gummo is?
I don't think.
Dude. Okay.
I might.
He's a bad. Well, who does it? Gummo is a song that's charting right now, and it's doing pretty well. It's got a Pierre Bourne beat that was stolen. It was given to Trippie Redd, and he gave it to his friend 6ix9ine.
Yeah, Tekashi 6ix9ine. That's what I said.
Oh, he's a bad dude.
He's horrible. Have you heard all the allegations?
About how he raped a 14-year-old or something?
Yeah, he's a horrible
dude.
No, they're breaking off.
Also,
so they're no longer
good. Okay,
because
screw that guy, and also screw that song. You know, you shouldn't be trying to chart if you're gonna steal a beat. That's not how it works. Yeah. And that he continued, they took the tag off of it. But if you're just gonna steal Pierre Bourne's work, even if you're gonna make some good money for him off of it, that's stupid. He didn't want that. He gave it to Trippie Redd for Trippie Redd.
No, yeah, he's they've had a tumultuous relationship brewing for a while now, and it seems like they're no longer. Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure Tekashi 6ix9ine is going to jail, so I don't think we're gonna see any more of him. And Trippie has been pretty vocal about saying that we're not tight anymore or whatever. So as long as he's able to break away from these shitty people he might be hanging around with, I think he has staying potential. So
okay,
really happy. I mean, as long as he doesn't follow in his boy XXXTentacion's footsteps now.
Dude, he's done.
He's so done. He's going
show up to my courthouse speaking, please.
Seriously, man. He got 7 more charges added on.
Dude, he's done.
Yeah.
And, dude, I'm overjoyed. Man deserves it.
I mean, he's
that fire poker story was the stuff of nightmares.
Yeah, he's a pretty scary dude.
Also, anybody who is a fan of the music, fine, but come on, somebody else can do it. It was a little innovative, but other people can do that sound better. And I'm happy that Ski doesn't seem to have done as many sketchy things.
Right.
And will probably come up and do just fine for himself.
Yeah, it's the same thing with XXX and Ski Mask that it is with Tekashi and Trippie Redd. I feel like Ski Mask is saying, "Yo, back off, don't ruin my image. Just I want to be my own artist. I want to succeed on my own or whatever." And I think it's the right move for him. I think he's got a lot more potential than XXXTentacion ever did. but just because he's a lot more stable, to be honest. Like the guy's just not stable whatsoever. He's not someone that I would imagine record companies would be chomping at the bit to get a piece of.
Right.
So it's not. I mean,
Okay.
that's my take on XXXTentacion.
Do you have any other shout-outs?
Yeah, I guess I'd like to shout out the new Juicy J project. A lot of, again, Metro is all over this boy.
Kind of wish we would have talked about that one because I really like that.
Yeah.
But
well,
just it's a good rec. You guys should check it out. Juicy J knows how to stay relevant, and there's gonna be this cool Suicide Boys crossover project. If you haven't heard about that, coming out fairly soon with him. That should be dope.
Yeah, Juicy J seems like he's coming back. He's gonna stop doing the Dat Piff mixtapes and like start taking his career seriously again, I guess. I've been waiting for him to return to the old 3-6 days, and it seems like with the Suicide Boys on production, he's ready to take that and make it a little bit darker and a little bit more trappy. So let's get it going. I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right.
Kill it. So
what else you got?
I think that's all I got for me. What do you got?
All right, I got a bit. If you've never heard, well, first of all, it's been a little bit of a more quiet year for our man Anderson .Paak, who really ripped last year open and made it his own after his real come up in 2015 on Dr. Dre's Compton. He had a project, though, called Cover Art that came out, I think, in 2013, where he, that thing, how like a lot of white rock stars would cover like old black blues music, and they essentially made it their own rock and roll. Well, he kind of tried to do the reverse thing here, where he took a lot of white artists' music and tried to make his own cover. He did like stuff like Maps, Seven Nation Army, Blackbird, etc. It's pretty short. It's nice. It's cool, and he sounds just as good here as he does on stuff like Malibu or Venice. So definitely worth checking out. It's not on iTunes. You got to rip it down from Bandcamp, but it's free. So good stuff. Sure. I've kind of been having a little bit of a love affair with Sandy, or Alex G. He's a singer-songwriter, works mostly for guitar, and he was featured playing guitar heavily on Frank Ocean's last two efforts. His music here is a lot different, though.
Yeah.
It gets really loud at parts, it gets really quiet at parts, and it's produced by a man who just works in a room with a guitar by himself. He's about our age, 2021, and it's pretty neat. He had an album come out this year. It's one of my albums of the year. It's called Rocket. It's got a goat in the front if you're looking for it, and it's pretty neat. It's good study music, or I guess if you're into smoking, it'd probably be good for that. But yeah, just really good stuff.
For sure.
And he's got like 4 or 5 projects that are kind of all the same caliber. Other than that, oh yeah, I got to give a shout out to Damn Collector's Edition. Loved all that new music. That was great.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you guys haven't listened to it in reverse yet, I mean, the internet has been ablaze with talk of how if you listen to it in reverse, it's a different story. It's not different.
It's not.
But I mean, leave it to other people to take a look at it themselves. But
just in case you were looking for more kind of long compilation projects, I haven't listened to it yet, but Static Select is 8. I've heard a couple of things off of that.
Who's on it?
2 Chainz, Wiz, Action Bronson, Wale, Jeezy, Joey Badass.
All over the place.
Yeah, just a lot of different stuff. PNB Raw. I just really... I shouldn't say that one. No Malice. That's cool. Just, I'm sure that's going to be good. And then, actually, Rez, R&B artist from early 2000s, produced by Doc McKinney, the guy who made The Weeknd what he is today, was doing the same sort of production and the same sort of vocals with artists back then, but it didn't really come into like the popular ears until now. So hey, if you're into The Weeknd, especially like the trilogy stuff, then you got to check out Rez, R-E-S, and specifically the first song on How I Do, Golden Boys. It's a fantastic track, and I think more people need to know about these Canadian artists before Canada kind of became the big R&B central with The Weeknd, Bryson Tiller, and stuff. So yeah, good stuff. Last thing I want to mention is I don't know how this slipped under my radar, but a couple of months back, Hobson put out this single, and it's we're not gonna go there. But if you want to see if you want to see a really funny video, that's just the most culturally inappropriate thing you've ever seen.
I'm willing to go into it if you want to talk about it. We still have another 10 minutes if you want.
Okay, alrighty. So we're sitting on a couch earlier this week, and Andy's watching Fantano as he does, even though this show is kind of built as an alternative to Fantano. But hey,
well, I want to.
You gotta study what's going on, right? I get that. And he's doing a video about Hobson's new video called Happy Ending, and it's from his album No Shame. It's a single. It just stuck right in the middle of the album. Isn't that bizarre?
Yeah.
Anywho, this song is about going to an Asian massage parlor, not a specific kind of subsect of Asian descent, just, an Asian massage parlor. And it starts with him in a bar with his buddies, telling them about how he went to an Asian massage parlor hoping to get some. And it's a little catchy. It's like an annoying way, so we keep singing it.
It's basically in the vein of Rebecca Black and all of those Patrice Wilson.
And it's a storytelling rap song. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's
and I hate almost everything Hobson's ever done. Like sure, he can rap on No Mind of Hobson, whatever. But no, dude, like this, I'm all for it for the memes, man. This is something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just what you think the music video is gonna be.
It's exactly that, and then they crank it up, and it goes further than you think they'd ever go. Especially because you got to know that it was on YouTube originally. Now you got to go to World Star to see it. But
he put out a tweet like saying.
Well, no, I don't want you. I don't want you to ruin it. Just go watch the video. All right, we don't want to ruin it for you. It's just, it's really,
there's no nipples, and I wore a dick sock.
God damn. Check it out. It's really good.
But yeah, it's really something you gotta look at and laugh. So I mean, it's worth the laugh for that. But
also, Eminem came out with a song this week, and I listened to it once, and it sounded like Eminem. So there you go.
Oh, Jesus! If we that's
all right. So next week,
day.
get hype. Next week we got Saturation 3 from Brockhampton. That's probably the one that people are gonna be the least excited to hear about who listen to this podcast. But hey, man, that's probably our most anticipated release over at Port Scurvy. We got Eminem coming out with Revival, which give that a go. We got Nerd coming out, and I'm sure plenty of other things that I'm forgetting. Go listen to Taylor Swift. It finally came out on streaming services. That's what we're going to do. Have a blessed night. We'll catch you guys next week.
Yep.